Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is page 13 in part 4, I guess you can call it. I kind of started off in the first panel here and then figured this would be a good page to showcase. Uh, if you're playing, if you're already playing around with DAZ Studios and you haven't really played with the one feature, let me see. You might have been curious about the D-Force thing, whatever you want to call it. I know a lot of the clothes that the vendors are making now are D-Force. A lot of the hair is coming D-Force. Undo. Come on. It's kind of where I am. It's talking with you guys. I can't even focus. Yeah, I can't. I can't really focus on the two things right now. Invert. Sure. Invert. Edit. Copy. So with the scenes with everyone in bed, I've been, I use D-Force. Let's see, like that. Let's start talking and forgetting where I am. And we're going to move this over a little bit. It's when if you go into the forums on the DAZ website and they start, and you start seeing threads or posts about D-Force, one of the biggest complaints is how long it takes. Probably behind the fact that everything blows up. What are we doing? So, let's see. To get that shot, I had to take some stuff out of the scene, so let's put it back before I forget. The back wall. There we go. Well, we're just going to collapse all and make this easy. So, I suppose I'll get to the point on the D-Force in a moment. Let's get these characters in. So we want the door open. Let's grab those and delete. Bring him in. Let's zoom in. Because I don't yet have Alex in the bed, so and I am kind of putting it off just a little bit. Let's see. So I think one of the problems with D-Force when you're using, when you've got people in the scene. Let's see, we want some, is that for some reason it likes to zero out the character's pose, and repose them before it actually drapes the cloth. So it ends up adding a lot of time to the process. So what I end up doing is, if you notice down here in the tray, I've got two instances of DAZ Studio open. I've said before in previous videos, I'll work with the beta version. See up here, this is Pro Public Build. This is the beta version, and then this one is Pro, the official release. I tend to use the beta version as my working version because for some reason a lot of the functions, it's a lot of the work tends to go faster. Um, one complaint that comes up every now and then is that if you delete a figure, if I were to delete Aiden, in a scene like this size, it can take forever for him to actually delete in the Pro build, the official release. I've found working in the Pro build in a full scene, if I want to delete a character, I've usually got to delete each piece of clothing, the hair, and just get it down to the base figure before deleting the figure. And it goes a lot faster than trying to delete the whole thing. But here in the Pro Public Build, the beta version, if I wanted to delete Aiden, I'll just show you in a second. So let's go delete Aiden. And there he is. He's gone. If I were to do that in the Pro build, usually, like, you have to go off, eat dinner, like, watch some TV, come back, wait another, like that sort of thing. So that's why, it's little stuff like that just goes faster here in the beta version. But having both versions installed, it gets to be helpful when I want to do something like I'm going to show you with D-Force in a minute. Okay, I need space to... Oh no, actually, I guess I've got room if I do it this way. So it's, when you get into D-Force, it can take a lot of time having to work through the figures posing. So I'll show you how I get around it to make it, if you've ever, if like for you, the timing annoys you, I'll show you how to cut down the time quite a bit. Tell me, is this here? So here we got, in this part of the story here, we've got, this is Aiden talking about how much, what he thinks of his siblings to a degree. I've been so I know throughout this a couple of times in this piece, I've been talking about altering the characters to fit the perception of whichever character is telling that part of the story. So like frequent, it's frequently when Jackson is telling a story involving his father, like David is a lot fatter than normal, and I tried to carry it over here with the Santa Claus, with the David Santa Claus, but it doesn't really come out in that suit. So I've been toying with I kind of toyed with the idea of um, scale 30, of doing the same thing with the kids. So the idea is, since Aiden is telling the story, the idea would have been I kind of slim him up a little bit to kind of get that he doesn't see himself as being as stocky as he is. Been toying with the idea, toying with the idea of you know, altering Jackson to make him look off. Not really sure how, but the idea is would have been to put up something that to show him the way, come up with something that indicates how Aiden sees him, and then the idea was with Alex here would be sort of like with um, be to do something similar to what I did with Danny when Jackson was telling about how it would go when if they go visit their uncle Danny, where he's a lot brawnier than he is in real life. But I think partly too is I kind of want to recognize the characters as being younger versions, sort of sort of a throwback to the time period within the universe that this is supposed to take place. So I figured I'd just leave the characters alone. And now I think I'm ready to put Alex in bed. So I gotta find where Alex is. Alex is here. So let's unparent. Come on, unparent him. He's not that complicated. Here we go. So we'll bring him in here. Let's take off the shoes. I'll just drop those. Yeah. Okay, so I don't have to find anything that's fit the boxers. Oh, where is he? See, I can't even. There we go. Okay, so I can take off the pants. let's get rid of. Actually, hold on a minute. No, let's just get rid of it. I could just delete it, but I don't want to delete it and then down the road at the end of this segment decide I want to stay within this segment and do like an in the morning scene where everybody's up and um, so what I'm gonna do, and let's go into David's house, close the doors, let's find the furniture, Alex's room, the bed. Let's see, I'm gonna turn off these pillows. Yeah, okay. Blanket. Let's parent the pillows to the bed, blanket to the bed, and then what I'm going to do is unparent the bed. Get it out of the household for now. Right? Okay. I can just turn off the blanket. No. Oh, you know what? This was. I'm going to delete that. Let's see. How do we want to pose him in the bed? Okay, so negative 90. Oh my god. This bed is a little small. Oops. Okay, so that is okay. At least this way I can have him and just position him so it doesn't look so obvious. Let's kind of curl him up in a ball a little bit. So yeah, this is. Oops. Okay. Let's see. He's, okay. Here. Let's see, this needs to go Z. And I think we can go X a little more. And he can come down. He's going to be under the covers, so let's get this back on that. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's put on the third pillow. Or this one, whatever you want to call it. Put line on both of them. Okay. So we're going to position him. Move this pillow out of the way somewhat because it's okay. Because it's kind of interfering with the arm. So we'll just okay. We're getting there. Close. I don't have close save because I'm using an old version of him. Some of these properties aren't favorited. Okay. So now what we need is, let's see. Okay, where is this blanket? Hmm. Aiden's blanket. Actually, hold on. I might have. Aiden's bed. No, these aren't in the. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to Control C on this, and it should copy the properties in relation to the parent figure, the bed. And what I'm going to do is, let's see, first off, let's unparent it. It's easy. And then put it there and go Control V. And with any luck, this should be on his bed. Okay. So what I need to do now is, let's see. Let's take this blanket, go into Surfaces, grab Default. I'm going to right click to bring up the menu and go Copy. And then find you. Right click and go Paste. And I'm going to bring the blanket up to make sure that the tiling matches. And it does. It's pretty much what I'm looking for is the size. Sometimes the UV maps on this blanket and the plane aren't the same size, so sometimes I have to increase or decrease the tiling on my D-Force blanket in order to get the right in order to get it to match. So what I need to do is with Alex, I've got to take the geometry shell off of him. So I right click and go unparent, and then I'm going to grab Alex and the boxers. I mean, it's probably going to send all this stuff over anyway, but I've had a couple of times where it doesn't send over the, it didn't send over the clothing when I did this. So now I've got those selected. I'm going to go File and send to Hexagon, and hopefully this will open Hexagon. There we go. And okay, see, so it's sending over this. I'm going to select this and go delete and delete because all I want is this. And I'm going to come into vertex modeling and weld them together into one shape. And then I'm going to take that shape and go send it to Des. And come over here, and there it is. Okay, so I'm going to rename this to make it easier to find. Alex's bed. And what I'm going to do is go File, Save As, Scene Subset. And I'm just going to call this Alex. Put caps lock back on. Alex's bed. Save. And then I'm going to unclick everything but the bed and this form that I brought over from Hexagon. Now I'm going to come over here and go open. In my file folder, I'm going to look for Alex's bed. Oops. And I want to be in key 1, not 0. I'm going to take unparent. And now this blanket already has a deform modifier on it. If you go into simulation settings, and if you don't have the pane over here somewhere, you can always like right click, add pane, and find it. I guess because it would be in this list, and then you can just add the pane. I mean, so basically, if it was just a plane, I'd take blanket, D-force, click this little box up here, and go D-force, add a dynamic surface, and it's going to tell me it's already got. Oh, okay. What I'm going to do is then clear, and that's the original plane, What I'm going to do is position the blanket above him. Let's go into all. Normally these settings are fine. I'm not really expert with the engine to go playing with settings or, if you take the object and go into the Surfaces tab, there are D-Force properties at the bottom of the list. I'm not the one to ask on what they all mean or how to use them. I just use but I'll just leave them as they are. But I will take gravity and go 1.5 because it does seem to be. I do seem to get a better result when I increase the gravity. And then what I'm going to do is simulate, and then I got to wait. And because he's not a figure, it doesn't go through the pose transition time. It just goes right into simulation. I don't have to waste time on. And this goes fairly quick. This is the problem though, is it ends up going into the figure, which I can end up fixing, but what I don't like is it hanging over the bed like that. I sort of want it completely in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this again. Let's clear. And I think I got room to bring it that way. Let's simulate and see what happens. So now it's just trial and error until I get something that I like. And I'm not going to like this either. Although it is close. You know what I might do to cheat this a little bit? Let's go into parameters. Now, what you want to do when you create, when you do something like this, when you create the plane, if you select the create new primitive and go plane, and if it's like 6 feet, what you want to do is set a high number of divisions. If I divide it by 1, then my plane is only going to be a single polygon. If I go 2 divisions, it'll divide it into 4 squares, and so on. Each division makes the boxes smaller. So what you want to do is I'll show you this plane. If I go into lit wireframe, you see all these little boxes. This is probably divided into something like 50 or 100 divisions. So each of these is an individual box, and it can kind of melt around the box. So I'm going to cheat this blanket a little. What I could do, I could do one of 2 things. Either I could just simply delete a couple rows of polygons, or I could just come over here into here and make it shorter. So let's go 85 and see what that looks like. Simulate. If possible, I may have to bump it up to 90. I think it's still going to catch, right? I think I can live with that. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely live with that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go File, Save as Scene Subset, and I'm going to call this Alex's blanket. Go Save, and I'm just going to save my blanket D-Force and go Save. Then when I come over here, I'm going to take this one off. Or not that one. Come on, there we go. Take that off, and I'm going to go Merge File, go Alex's blanket. There we go. See, and I got a blanket. Now I'm going to turn the form off. I'm going to take this and go change parent, and I got to find Alex. Put this back onto Alex. Accept. The reason I take the GeoShell off is because they do tend to cause problems for the program. So I've had everything crash if I try to send Alex over to Hexagon with the GeoShell attached. For some reason, it can't handle the GeoShell, so I'm going to take it off before sending it. Another thing is when I send Alex over, you come over here, where is it? Resolution level. The figures have two options, base and high resolution, and when you load the figures, it's set to high resolution by default, but when you send him over to Hexagon, for some reason, it kicks it down to base. So every time I do this process, I've got to remember to reset the resolution, or it looks funny when you start shooting. Sometimes there'll be a clothing item that's got a high resolution option, and that'll end up resetting, but I don't think so. Okay, so none of the clothing or hair have a high resolution option. Now, to cheat on the poke throughs, there's two things I'm going to do here. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to just raise the blanket enough to get it over the poke through on him. And then as far as the bed, I'm going to come into here to edit object, go into geometry, and I'm going to add a smoothing modifier. Oh, it's already got one. Okay. So you add the smoothing modifier, and then you come down here, collision item. I'm going to select this, and it's going to be Alex's bed. And see, there it goes. It basically solves the problem of sinking through the bed. And that is basically how we can drape a blanket without actually modifying it. It's not the best looking blanket, but there you go. And basically, when I want to have them moving around or sitting up, I go through that with each time. You sit and change his position. Then you send him back to hexagon, turn him into a figure, send him back, take him over here, redrape the blanket, blah, blah, blah. So now, where am I? Okay. I think what I'm going to have to do is bring them over. There Let's see. You know what? I think I'm going to turn him so I get a little bit of face. Actually, I think I can turn the head. Okay. There we go. Stairs. Okay. So now, shoot. Let's see if I have to put caps on. Let's see. Uh, so it's like when I have Aiden shifting around in the bed, I'll go through that process each time. Um, in a case like this where he's just going to be sleeping, I'm just going to cheat and I'll cheat it and not have him move around a lot. Let's see, Control C. There. So I might, so I'll probably move his head, but not any part of his body, anything that would disturb the blankets. Whoops, that wasn't lined up. And I'll be able to get away with it too. This doesn't seem to want to be lined up. I think this is it, right? Yep, okay. Let me just bring the same file open as layers. Yeah, and I think in the last video, I was kind of hinting that my head was preparing to take this to two parts. Now I'm going the other way, and I'm worrying that this won't even make one part. Oops. Are we there? IE, I feel like I'm going to be kind of adding some fluff to this. Mm-hmm. I've got to check this out a little more. That's what. Okay, so because what I want is a little Santa over here in the corner. Oops, wrong layer. Oh, yeah, this has got to go up. Here we go. And at the same point, I'm already trying to think ahead to what I want to do next. Invert, shrink. And let's see. Let's focus on him, and it's going to zoom way out. Oh my god. I know I keep mentioning this idea. No, I want the head. This idea for a story called Ant Serum. Um, okay, and I guess it's just perspective. Trying to figure out why these arms don't look like they're quite lined up. Which I was thinking would just be a short tail. I'm kind of brainstorming it. feel like there could be something to it for a little bit longer of a story. Although I'm still not quite sure what, but since I know I keep talking about it, the premise would be um, I'm trying to think something is right here. How this might work. Premise would be like a young gym rat type character signs up for an experimental trial. I'm gonna bring this down and do it with this one. Is that that's gonna so the question is, how do I do this? And okay, that's good. The young gym rat character who signs up for a trial. It doesn't quite go as expected. So he ends up sacrificing height for muscle. Like a combination of muscle growth slash micro stuff, while leaving it a plausible size tail, not really getting too small. Maybe like 4.5 feet at the most. Let's see. Let's see. No, it. Oh, let's go exclamation point. So it's the idea. It's like the thought would be a short tale because it would just be. It wouldn't be there wouldn't be a complicated story with it. It would just be simple. It would just be sort of a simple self-size swap. Shoot, undo. He says, and it would sort of be the original thought would it would that it would be in the tone of the other three short tale stories. Where it's just the interaction of him and a roommate of some sort enjoying the change. I'm thinking it's sort of like as I'm getting to the end of this, I'm reaching that point where I need to start seriously thinking about the next project. It's got me brainstorming, and for some reason, I'm liking this idea that's popping in my head. Open his layers. Maybe doing a full size story with it. Maybe not like 150 to 200 pages, but in the realm of like 75 to 100 um, layer scale. Where the characters, shoot, scale 33. I'm talking to you guys and not paying attention here. The idea would you make them college students so that the change is happening within the scope of his college life. And I like this idea that's popping into my head that like the combination of the larger muscles but smaller size sort of makes him cute to the other college girls. Suddenly, it's like suddenly he's getting noticed more by the other college girls, and you get like a lot of fondling and that sort of thing, and fawning and whatever you want to. Layer 2 image size. Yeah, this is like one of those nights right now where I'm just kind of going through this lazily, talking with you guys. Anyway, and believe it or not, no, I'm not drunk. I actually don't drink, um, so now it's like I'm brainstorming that idea to see about fleshing it out. Um, but delete keys. Delete keys. There's another part of me too that I think in previous videos I keep talking about. I have these two characters that I feel would make a good sort of blue collar setting. And I'd almost like to use them next, but I can't really coalesce a story to go with it. Now that I've gone through all that, kind of trying to indicate he's getting up. It's sort of the thing is like you kind of come up with characters that really click with you, and you kind of want to use them before you sort of get over them, so to speak, and move on to the next set of characters. Let's see what would be. Let's see what the problem is. Okay, that looks good. Let's see. And then the other thing is that I've already got an idea for the next Shrimp House story. I think what I'm going to do with this is make it large. There we go. Hmm. And the funny thing is here is I'm not sure he was dating. Is he was hooked up with this girl at the time this story would have taken place. The problem is I don't have the pages. I don't have the pages loaded on my laptop anymore. To make space, I kind of deleted all the images and pages um, out of my laptop because they're backed up on two separate hard drives right now, so I don't need to tie up the space on my laptop. I'll get you a glimpse into David's nightmare here. So it's probably isn't important. So it's like the idea is at this point in time, at this point in time, or at the point that Aiden's story is taking place. Okay, yeah. Hmm. Aiden's bully. I mean, I guess there's nothing in story that says he's not dating her at this point. Just that he introduced her to the storyline in David's Nightmare, which takes place like 6 or 7 or 8 months after this flashback story. You know, am I on? Okay, so this is 68. Let's render. Oops. Um, oh, come on. Oh my god, at this line. I feel like we're going full blown porno here with this line. Oh my god. It's just like the kind of night I'm having. So at the same time, I want to do Recall, Shrimp at the House Recall, the 11th story in the series. Ah, which would sort of be a callback to the original Shrimp of the House story. Control Z to undo that box. There we go. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make a change here and re-render this, but I'm going to save the picture so that I know where to, so I can bring it in. And I can know where to put that word bubble. Actually, so what I'm going to do here is, let's see, I'm going to select him for a moment and I'm going to take it off camera. Let's see. try and make it look like he's snapping his fingers here. Sort of like in the scene with in Aiden's room. Just, okay. So I think I want stocking 2. And if I spin around, it should be in Allison's room. Yep. Zero. Now, where did I put? Where did that end up? Okay. You know what? This would just be easier to do it like this. Z. Z. The idea is this will end up being done in layers. Okay, because I want this a little more central, let's put it back there. Okay. Zoom in a little to sort of center this a bit. Okay. Because what I've got is I've added geo shells to the stocking and the presents. Or not. There's the one for the gifts. Oh, shoot. Control C maybe? Control V. There we go. Okay. So this is the geoshells give me the little magical effect I've been putting on the page. But what I need to do is, for now, take off. Oh, I forgot that one. Let's take these off. What I'm going to do is render A and go render. And then come in here and, oh, actually, yeah, okay, no, because I moved the camera, so I've got to re-render that. If I had left the shot as was, I could have gotten away with just doing the other 2 layers, but no. So what I'm going to do is bring this up. Whoops, what happened? Okay. If we delete that, let's go save. just wait for these layers. So the idea is recall, going back, keep losing track here. Um, recall would be something akin to the original Shrimp in the House, where David hears about a recall on the device, doesn't know what it was, and somebody decides to mess with him by setting him up for a slow shrink to play a joke on him or whatever. But I think it would be a little faster. So maybe instead of 1 inch a day, it'll be 2 inches a day. So that time moves a little faster. Instead of it being a 2 month story, it'll condense it down to 1 month. Oh, I got my image. Shoot. So let's save that. And do is bring in. Oh shoot. Okay, not a problem. Let's take gifts. I forgot to change the wrapping on these, but that's not a problem. What is a good? Hmm. Even though I don't think it's going to be very distinguishable. But oh well. And this is going to look like the first one, right? Paste. Okay, so I'm going to change this to B. And before I do that, this is going to be a huge mess. So I'm going to turn off David's house. Then I've got to take Alex, Santa, and the bed, and the deforced blanket, right? And all of these will go in here. Okay. And that can render. I thought that went a little quicker. Oh, there we go. So there's that. Now we come in here. What I need is stocking. Let's turn stocking off and put the geoshells on. And then what I come in here is let's switch the render image to 3 delight because the surface used on the geoshell doesn't work in OpenGL. It's a 3 delight render, so I'll render that. And that gives me that. That's the effect I've put on it. So while that's rendering, let's come in here and go open. Yay! Let's go file, open as layers. And it looks odd, but throwing this layer over it oops, is going to cover that up. So now I think opacity was 70 and filter blur Gaussian. No, I wasn't 10, it was 7. That's what it was. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to go File, Export As, and Export. Delete that. Close that. Then we'll come in here and go File, Open as Layers. This one right here. Okay, I'm going to have to move the word bubble. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the word bubble here. And we're just going to okay. There we go. And then enter. And that works. Save, image, flatten, and export. We gotta change. Tell me about Alexander. Was he nice this year? Yeah, Alex is the best brother ever. He always takes my side against Jack, and he gives me his dessert at supper. Certainly sounds like he's been nice this year. Let's see if we can put something nice in his stocking. That's page 13. This is supposed to just be a silly little part, but I think it's doing what I want it to do. I hope you learned something there at the beginning, or probably more the middle, but um, I think that's why I did this one, was to kind of show you sort of some quick and simple D-force. So if you want to make your own draping blanket, that's how you can do it and keep the time down. Well, thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.